Hi, I'm Darren, and in this video we're going to have a look at how to create a report in Google Data Studio. Now we've already added our data source to this particular report, and I'm going to start adding some charts to get some more information out of my data. So first of all, I've got a blank screen here, and down on the right hand side you've got some layer options that you can have a look through and change the way that your canvas size is seen. But what I'm going to do first of all is going to go to and add a chart, and I'm going to select first of all a table. Okay, and this is where we then start to see some different terminology that you may not be used to before. And we've got a date range, so it's already found my timestamp, so it's put that in there. It's gone, that's what you need in there. And it's also already for, here's a dimension. So a dimension is anything which is really sort of text based, but that can also work as a metric as well. So my dimension here is just first names, but I can change that, let's say, to initials instead. And that's then going to show me just the initials of people. And it's already populated this very first one here, which says, I know how to switch on a computer and open different programs. At the moment, it's using it as a sum, and I could change that to say an average, or I can count, for instance, how many people have said that. So let's go for just a sum on there. I can change the name of this as well. So if I don't want it to be this really long title, I'll go for, let's say, B1, because it's our first basic skill. And then down here, I can then sort. So at the moment, it's being sorted by this particular metric. And I want to actually sort it by the initial fields. So I can just type in initials. There we go, and I can add that into there, and it will now sort it by descending order, or I can change that to be ascending order if I wanted to. Okay, so that's to add a table, and I can add more elements to there. So if I wanted to add this one in here, it would then just add another column for me automatically. And if I go to the Style tab over the right hand side, I can change how that particular one's going to look. So if I didn't want to have the numbers down the side, I could just turn that off by clicking row numbers, and now I just have the initials, the first thing and the second thing on there. Okay, now I'm going to add a scorecard. Now a scorecard allows you to see one particular metric, and at the moment this is showing me I know how to switch on a computer, and it's showing me it's going to be a sum. So it's adding up all of those numbers that we had in our form where staff graded themselves either a 1 or a 4, and obviously it's come up with 618. Now that's not going to be very helpful, so let's change that to an average instead. So now I can see an average for the whole of the college. I can see that it's almost 4 for all the staff members that gave themselves a grade for that particular element. And again, I can change to this to be 1 as well if I wanted to, the name, so it's not got the really long name, but obviously it all depends on your column titles, and you might want to keep those. And then finally, what I want to add on here is a pie chart. So I'm going to go to add pie chart, and I'm going to select a range of different things on here. So at the moment, it's trying to find what it thinks I need, which is a dimension around sort of first names. What I'm going to actually select on here is what they are working towards. So level working towards. And that's going to change on here about what level they're working towards. And again, it's looking at this metric here, so I want that to be exactly the same. So level working towards for my metric as well. So I can then see across my staff who is working towards what. And currently that's counting, distinct, but I just want to count everybody rather than distinct versions of those. And I can then see about 60% of the college are working towards intermediate on there. And finally, what I want to do is add a filter control. So a filter control allows you to filter the data that makes sense for you. So I've just added the filter control, and it automatically found the first name. Now what I want to do is filter by program area. So I'm going to select our program area. We got all our staff members to say which program area they came from, and I'm going to leave off the metric as well because I don't want that on there. So I'm just going to use that dimension there as program area. I can switch between what it's going to look like from my edit mode to actually what it looks like to view. If someone was going to view this report, just at the top right, I'm going to click view, and then I can then see, okay, these are all my particular program areas, and I can select, let's see, performing arts, media and music, and see what they've then got. And it's all updated, so it's now showing me the average for just this team that's in this program area. I can see the members of staff which would be in this program area, and again I can see what they are for they're working towards grades as well based on all this form report. So it will update automatically depending on the information that I've got, and I can select back to see the whole college again if I want to, and it automatically does that update for you. I'm going to go click back onto edit, and you can obviously add a title on the top here. I'm just going to add this box at the top, and I'm going to use this as a title page, and I'm then going to use a text box and change what that looks like. So I'm going to change my color on those, and I'm going to go for a larger font. And there we go, that's our first report. Obviously you can play around and make it look a lot more prettier than I just have in here, and there's lots of different ways to play around with the style of each of these boxes, of how you want it to look. So for this one, I can compact the numbers to show me 3.9 rather than 3.94, so you can then decide how many decimal places you want it to go to. Finally, you might want to share this with your colleagues or somebody who wants to view the reports. You can then have the share option at the top here. You can obviously just type in your colleague's email address, and it will then come up with some options, or you can get a shareable link, and it will then give you an option. So it will lock it down to your domain if you're an education account, or I can then say I would like anybody who has a link to this who can then be able to view it, and I can copy that link and then send it to the people that I'd like to view the report. They then get a unique view of the report, so they won't be able to see anybody else editing the report, and they can then also filter it themselves as well. We can expand our report by adding an extra page over the right hand side, so we can then add multiple pages which will then have more information, and you can then keep information across into different pages as well. So once one filter applies to one particular thing, it can filter and apply to the whole report rather than just that single page. So that is the basics of creating a report in Google Data Studio, and we'll get you started with the basics, and you can then experiment and try different options out for yourself.